Right, here we go. Hello, my name is Madalena D'Angelo, and welcome to #SoStressed, Life Behind the Curtain. It is our second episode, and I want to thank everyone who reached out with really nice feedback on our first episode, and a thank you again to Harrison and Connor for coming on. Today I have with me Julia Capizzi, my very good friend from college. She is a DC-based actor, teacher, performer. Why don't we let her tell us about herself?
Oh, hi. Hi. So, as Madalena said, my name is Julia. We both graduated together from Catholic University, musical theater class of 2017. And I am a DC-based actor, singer, teacher, bar enthusiast, but not like pure bar, not like... Not like not like going to the bars, but that's fun too. And over the past year, I've performed quite a bit at Creative Cauldron and Falls Church, Imagination Stage in Bethesda, and kind of all over the place. And I've also had the immense pleasure of teaching and directing at various schools in the area. I directed this giant Hanukkah musical at a school in Rockville, which was really a really awesome experience. And now I just kind of do it all, and I'm just working for that next gig, which is stressful but also fun and exciting because you never know what's going to come up. So, and everything that I've kind of booked this year since we've graduated has all been a wonderful surprise.
And I feel like that's how it happens.
Yeah.
At least in the last year, absolutely. And I mean, that's kind of, we can make that the jumping off point for today too, kind of how in like our first year post-grad, realizing that even when you are performing, because you may not be performing all the time, but even when you are, the fact that you're so much more than, like, we all have on our resumes, like, singer / something / something. But I feel like there's so much more than just the singer, actor, dancer. It's like / this and / this and this and this and this, because there's so much within the field that we can do.
Yeah.
Just being a working artist, I feel like, is so much more than just, I'm on stage doing this track.
Right, exactly. And it's, I mean, I think that's, like, more fulfilling almost than, I mean, of course, like if I were performing all the time, 8 shows a week, like 12 months of the year, that would be fantastic. Like I would, that's, you know, the dream, of course. But it's so, we live in a city where everyone is doing everything. And that's kind of what I really love about where we live and what our community does, because you get to try so many different things. You get to try your hand at directing, at writing, which I've done well, I've never produced, but like you get to do everything, and there's always a way to diversify your art. So that's, yeah.
It's very much like making a career in the industry.
Exactly.
And starting very young almost, you know, like versus some, like, performing full-time for a certain amount of years and then making the transition into doing something else, like, because you've directed and written this past year, I've choreographed, like, you just kind of started doing all the different facets of what you could, like, the first year out, but I do love DC for that reason. Right,
well, and, like, I said to my parents when I graduated, I was like, my goal is really just to make most of my income in some sort of theater, which I feel like I've been able to do this year. And like Madalena and I bartend at Shakespeare Theater. And like, even though we're not performing or doing something artistic, like we're still there, we're still involved in the community.
And that's what I love about that job. Because yes, you're bartending and it is service, but you're still like, it's not corporate. You're working for the company.
Yeah.
It's such a small company that everyone's meeting everyone. And it's just, you're going to the theater every night, and
that's fun. Yeah.
And that's half of it. It's
just
being there in that community.
And your pay stubs say Shakespeare Theater Company or like wherever else you might teach or direct or whatever. And there's such a need in this area specifically for teaching artists, because there's so many people who want their kids involved in the arts. And so that's something that's really cool. So that's what, I mean, yeah, I agree and I feel like you don't have to make that constant transition of, well, performing's not working out for me right now, so now what do I do?
Right. And it's never that, it's not giving up on performing. It's not like, oh, wow, I'm not booked. It's just, I'm not booked right now, so what am I creatively going to do in the meantime?
Yeah.
Which, when do you think you realize that? Like, when do you think you realize that in order to, let's say DC specifically, but like in order to really have a career in this field, you can't just be a performer?
Well, I think I'm still kind of figuring that out because this past year was so like exciting and crazy and surprising for me because when I graduated from Catholic, I really didn't think I was going to be performing anymore, and I already had like an offer to teach at a theater. And I mean, of course, that was going to be on a contract by contract basis, but like I already had that kind of locked down, and I had my first contract with them ready, and I had such a great time. I directed a sketch show on campus, and I was doing comedy in DC. So like, I mean, comedy, of course, you're still performing, but I didn't think I was going to be doing like musical theater. And so this year, I think, was a lot about, for me, and I'm still really figuring it out, is learning the balance of finding that creative fulfillment when you're not performing, because from the time that I graduated, basically the end of summer last year, I was doing a show from then until like April. And so yeah, I don't know. I think that it's just a balance. Like you just gotta, and you have to, it's staying motivated in those times when you're not performing, and kind of learning that they all have, there's nothing that's like better or worse. It's hard when like, if you're not a union actor or you're not making like, you know, $1,500 a week on Broadway doing something, it's hard to feel like what you're doing is worthwhile. But like, there's just that, you just have to remember that it is, and finding the things that really speak to you and like that speak to what you want to do and get you excited to get out of bed and get out of the house in the morning. And I'm still finding those things. And sometimes it's teaching, and sometimes I get really tired of teaching. And then it's like, what do I do now? Like, and sometimes it's finding the right companies to teach with. And sometimes it's finding just the right people to be with. Like, so I'm still figuring it out.
Do you think there was a big learning curve coming out of like post-grad?
Definitely. I mean, so I think,
not in a way to fault, I'm not faulting school or anything. Like, I think it's in a way that you couldn't be prepared for. Like, I knew there was going to be a learning curve, but it was different than what like, looking back on the first year post-grad, it was a different learning curve than I figured I was going to experience, kind of thing.
Well, I think in a lot of ways learning curve was positive, because at Catholic, and I think this is true for any musical theater program, it's such a small playing field. Yeah. Like, you know, you have your season of like 2 or whatever shows, and then like the student directed shows and directing projects that are happening, but you know, like, you're going to be auditioning but you're going to be auditioning with the same group of people for your 4 years, and it rotates as people graduate, but like, you always know where you kind of stand in that playing field. And
you're also doing it every day. Like, even if you're not in a production at the time, you're always in your voice lessons and your coachings and your acting classes, and it's like it's different coming out of school in your day-to-day, right? Because there's an accountability when you're in school. Like, show up and have your monologues and your songs ready. It's like coming out of post-grad, it's for me it was finding, and I mean there's a whole mental illness component to all of this too, but it's also just like, if you're not being held accountable by another schedule like school or rehearsal, like getting up every day and saying, go to this dance class, schedule your voice lesson, like that kind of motivation too. Right.
And for me, like, it was a lot of learning to let go in all of the audition processes, I don't know. Because when you're auditioning in undergrad and like, you're auditioning with your friends, like, there were so many times in college when it would be like me and like my 2 best friends down for whatever role, like, and it's so hard to let it go because you're seeing these people every day, you're hanging out with them, sometimes you're living with them, like, and so when you don't get the show in school, like it's hard because you have to hear about it all the time. You have to be in the middle of it. You have to like, and you're expected to go. And I will always love supporting my friends and whatever that they do. But like sometimes it's hard when it's been like 2 months and you know you didn't get it and your friends all got it. And so for me, it was really cool to see this past year, like I can go and audition for something and not be freaked out because I'm not auditioning for my teachers. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not auditioning for these people that see me every day, and I feel like I have to own up to what I do in the room every single time that I see them. So that's been really interesting. But the negative part of learning curve, or the part of the learning curve that it's not negative because it's all like valuable experience, but the part of it that I'm trying to learn how to deal with specifically right now in the past like couple of weeks is that in post-grad, you're going to have periods of time where you're not busy. Like in undergrad, right. In undergrad, like you are busy all the time, and whether or not you want to be like doing the things that you're busy doing, like, you know,
you're just 21 credits overloaded, not sleeping. And to go from constantly having something to do to not, it's very jarring.
And that's
very right.
And that's part of being an artist too. And like, I mean, even though in this city there are like, if there's always something to do when you're not booked performing wise, it is so hard to like go from, like for me, my gig at Imagination Stage got really crazy all like scheduling wise all of a sudden because I was understudying, and then I wound up going in and kind of taking over the role for a couple of weeks, but like my schedule wasn't prepared for it because I was like, well, I need to make money somehow. I'm understudying.
Right.
So I was picking up all of these teaching shifts and all of these shifts at work, and then all of a sudden, and I was rehearsing for a show at night, so then all of a sudden I had to like, I was doing a show at Imagination in the morning, going to a teaching gig or some sort of interview or something, and then rehearsing at night. And then once that all calmed down in March, then I had another show that I was performing in, but that was at night, then that ended, and then since then it's been like nothing. I've been teaching, I've been working at my Pure Barre studio, I've been bartending, nannying, but then like I haven't been doing anything creatively. And so it's kind of learning how to deal with those times too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, post-grad's weird. It's like, and it's strange, like, because you're not like with the people that you've been with for 4 years, like right. every day. Right. And so you have to make so much more of an effort just to even to like see your friends. And I'm learning how to do that too, because I'm not good at like making plans with people. So
the balance of it. I'm finding though that like I do enjoy the post-grad life a lot. Like,
oh yeah.
I miss school in the way that you miss fun experiences that you've
absolutely
gone through, but not in the way where I want to go back and be in school again.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and even if I were like to go on to a master's program or something, like I needed a break from it because I have enjoyed I'm an adult, this is my time, and I get to decide what to do with it kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Even with a work schedule, it's still like, I don't miss being in school. Like, I miss it.
Oh, right.
We have great memories of it, but I don't miss
I completely agree with you. I don't, I mean, I don't miss, like, handing in papers or staying up. I mean,
And we were so busy for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, it was just not, and I'm not, our musical theater programs and going into any type of conservatory arts program is so different from any other
right.
type of college experience. It's a different kind of hardworking grind, but like we went nonstop for 4 years.
Well, and there was always something that like whether it was you had like 2 papers due at a choir concert that you were like constantly going for rehearsals for at night. Like, yeah, so and they were really good at like making us like go to stuff at 7 o'clock at night and making us stay there like all night, right, you know,
right. like it's the time management and like the lack of sleep. But there's a freedom to it.
Yeah.
This is a nice segue. There's actually a freedom that I found. Julia and I studied abroad together in London.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, if we at all sound really douchey about stuff, but there was a freedom I found in London.
Yeah.
That I really took back with me.
Yeah.
So it was like with senior year where I was like, I'm over this. I'm ready for the next step.
Right.
And even though the next step being post-grad has been scary and stressful and every, you know, you can look at the negatives and the rejection and the no and audition season. It's also been really amazing and really rewarding.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to be in this chapter.
Yeah. Well, London I felt like was a practice for like real life.
Yeah.
Because we were living in a flat, we didn't have any sort of meal plan or anything, so you were like dealing with, you know, basically like taking care of yourself.
We weren't supervised. Like our program was really interesting in the sense of like we had to show up for class.
Yeah.
But after that, like you went on your merry way.
Right.
Like we, like other friends who were abroad they still had like dorm supervisors. And
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. We were very much living in London.
Yeah.
Like it was like be here at this place and this time, and other than that, like
do what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like, so that was really interesting because, but that was also one of the first times for me personally that I was like, wait, I don't have places that I have to be all the time. Like, what do you do with that extra time? And like half the time you're exhausted because you're at, you know, we were in class by 7:30 a.m., 8 a.m., and like in class until like 6:30. And so like half the time you just want to like go home and like veg and sleep, but then you have this incredible city around you that you have so much to take advantage of. And like how do you do all of it and balance all of it? And how do you deal with like grocery shopping when you don't have an income because you can't work when you're abroad, and like
budgeting. That was the first time where I was like, okay, like here is like it really was like the trial run for the real world.
Yeah.
Thing, because it was like here,
it was.
That's a really good way of putting it.
It was cool. I mean, it was like, and also like you have to deal with getting yourself around, because for me, I know like here in DC, well, I have a car now, but like when I didn't have a car and Uber was like not astronomically expensive like it is now, like I would just Uber pool everywhere for $2, $3 or whatever. And like, it's easy, but when you're abroad, you can't really do that because I think we called Uber maybe like once or twice when we were like abroad.
We would do it to like, not even to go to the clubs. We
yeah.
Take the bus.
Yeah, or the tube.
Well, and I also think that's the difference though. Like living in DC, I feel like you need a car.
Yeah.
Because the metro is not like,
yeah.
In London at any point, I knew that even if I was lost, I could walk into a store, say, where's the nearest tube stop?
Yeah.
And it would be within 3 blocks of my location, like at any given point.
Yeah.
And it may not be the line you needed, but like you could get yourself home.
Right.
Like our flat, we were within a 10-minute walk of 2 different tube stops, and then we had a bus right out front that took us right to the other one. Like, and I don't feel like, at least where I live in DC, clarifying, because I'm sure other people are in closer proximity to things, but like need a car here. So that was cool with London too, because it was like, figure it out, you know, like here are your options.
Yeah.
Here's the tube, and now figure out how to get from point A to point B.
Oh, it was everything was figured out.
Yeah.
From like phone plans. Like my parents were like, we're not buying you an international plan, figure it out.
I landed at Heathrow, and it was like, okay, here we go. But I loved that because as soon as we graduated, I was less of like, I didn't feel like I was flinging myself off a cliff into adulthood.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I've done this.
Yeah, and like I've done it in a city that's, you know, however 1,000 miles away from home. Like, yeah, so London was cool. It was a cool experience.
And also in London, you got very much into the comedy scene.
Yeah.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because it's still, comedy is still performing, still artistic.
Oh, of
but
course.
It can be very different than musical theater. And that was a time when you were really, because you came back to the States and directed the sketch show. Like, you found a different creative outlet and a different creative side to you through that, I feel like.
Absolutely, yeah. So I credit comedy and improv with teaching me basically how to get around everywhere, both like in London and also in the States. So before we left for London, it was the summer So I was doing Henry IV Part 1 at the Baltimore Shakespeare Factory, but I had so much downtime backstage because I was like doing like all those random parts in Shakespeare. They're like the random bit parts. You come in and like say a few funny lines and you like leave. And then I had a sword fight at the end, which was weird. But so I had a lot of downtime, so I was reading a lot, and I was reading like I just kind of devoured like Mindy Kaling's first book and Amy Poehler's book and Tina Fey's book, and I was like, this is cool, and like I'm good at like I can write kind of like these funny ladies
You've
can.
always been a strong writer.
Oh, thank you very much. And I was also writing for an online publication called The Odyssey, which became a beast into itself. And so I knew that I had an interest in like creating in that way. And I also was struggling a little bit with my voice, like my singing voice. And so I was just like looking for a new creative outlet. And I started going to shows at the Washington Improv Theater once we got back to school, which is WIT for shorthand. They have a free show every Tuesday night called Herald Night. And I was really bummed because I was like, well, I'm really into this now. Like I love improv, like I love watching it. I love comedy but I don't, like, I'm leaving. Like, I'm going to London, so I was like, this is sad because I want to pursue this interest of mine, but I'm going to have to wait, like, 6 months or whatever. And then when we got to London, I was frustrated because I felt like the first couple, it's just first couple days or 2 weeks that we were there, Madeleine and I were in a flat with everyone that we, like, went to school with. So it was, like, there were 6 of us, I guess. Yeah. 6 or 7. It was basically everyone from our musical theater program that went to London was in our flat.
It was all the girls.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to like name drop people who aren't here out of respect for them. So and another friend at the time.
But
we were on top of each other.
Yeah,
and we were in a tiny. The rooms if you've ever been abroad, they don't have roommates the way we do in the States. So we were in rooms that were meant for one person.
Yeah. And I was frustrated because I felt like, but not even in the flat, like I felt like we had to travel in packs because, because like none of us really knew the tube system. And then I come from a fairly sheltered family. And so my family was always like, they were like so worried that some crazy shit was going to happen to me abroad. So they were like traveling buddies, like whatever. And our first couple weeks there, of course, the faculty and the administrators were always like, make sure like you know where your friends are. So I was getting frustrated because I was like, I can't go anywhere alone in this city. Like I want to figure out just how to get around on my own. So I found an improv school we don't have this here as much as they do over there. They did like drop-in improv classes. So you'd pay like £12 a class and you'd have like a 3-hour class on like a Tuesday night or a Saturday morning. And it was like really awesome. It was right off of the Baker Street. No. London?
Borough, right?
Yeah, Borough Market. It was right off of the Borough Market tube. And it was really cool because like I knew that no one else was really going to be like interested in going with me, so I kind of just had to figure it out on my own. And I was smart about it the first couple of times and went on a Saturday morning when it was still daylight and I could still figure out where I was going. And then as I started to get more comfortable with it, with the commute, I started going on Tuesday nights, and the Tuesday night classes kind of like opened up my whole world because those were taught by teachers who were all UCB trained. So they all went over to New York and did like the whole UCB curriculum and then took it back to London with them. So that was kind of how I got involved, and I found such a community with like, I don't want to call them like the locals of like the people who actually lived in London, because everybody taking those classes were all residents of the area. So I'm still friends with all those people today on Facebook, like, and if I'm in New York for like an improv festival or something, like we'll meet up. And so it was so cool because I got to experience something outside of my program that was like very much part of London itself. And I got to go to like a bunch of like pub prov, like bar prov, because that's like most of the improv in London. It's not like here where there's tons of improv theaters everywhere. Like you're doing improv on the top floor of a pub. Yeah, so that was how I got involved in improv there. And then it kind of opened up a bunch of doors when I came back here. But yeah. I don't know if you want to.
No,
if you want me to
we
delve.
have a ton of mutual
Yeah.
friends through that now too.
Yeah.
Connor, who was on the show last week, obviously was at Laughing Dex Theater with you.
Yeah.
And he's now a roommate who very good friends with. Homeless Fire Party, check them out on YouTube. We'll plug them. But it was, I more so wanted to talk about it because it was also in that multifaceted artist way.
Yeah.
Another area of creativity.
Yeah.
Of you kind of exploring it, and at the time when you needed it to fulfill things that weren't getting met, maybe in your main focus. That kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so when I came back to the States, the summer that I came back, I was nannying full time for a family friend and waitressing, and because I was just living at home and I wanted to make money for my senior year. So I got involved with the Baltimore Improv Group. I took their 101 class and their 201 class, and I credit that to teaching me. I was really scared of, this is so embarrassing, but I was really scared of driving the highway because my parents, like, when I was learning, I come from like country roads, like, and yeah, I wasn't just like terrified of driving, but so I never really needed to like get on the highway, and my parents didn't really push it because they were also scared of like me driving too. Yeah. So, but my parents weren't like, well, my parents were like, we're not going to drive you down like twice a week to Baltimore City, so figure it out. Yeah. So that's what I did, and I figured out a lot of city driving, and just like I feel like I was always kind of scared of Baltimore City itself, and like, it's an amazing city. It's a really cool place to like be and produce art. And so I got involved doing that, and it's really cool to see like all of my friends that I was with in my 101 classes are now like, they finished the curriculum there and they're like performing, and they have all their own improv teams, and so that's cool. And then I auditioned for Laughing Dex Theater, which is a comedy theater here in DC that does a house team training program. And so you audition and they place you on a team fit that based on like how you performed in your audition, but also what your interests are. And so my interest was really in writing sketch and writing like satire and all that kind of stuff. So I got placed onto a sketch team there, and that's where I learned how to do sketch. And I knew that I wanted to direct a sketch show at Catholic, and I had already been approved to do it, but I didn't really, when I like had been approved, I applied to be a director the like week after we'd gotten back from London. So it was like May before our senior year. I went to Catholic to like do the interview with the student run theater company and like got approved to do it. I didn't know anything about sketch. I just knew I was like, well, I want to do this, so I'm just gonna. And Amy Poehler has that quote, like, great people do things before they're ready. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm not ready to do it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And so I learned how to write sketch through Laughing Dex Theater, brought it to Catholic. Our senior year musical was City of Angels. And of course, as it was always the case with me at Catholic, I got called back and didn't get cast. And was bummed. I was like really bummed because I wanted to be like in the musical. I wanted to, and I hadn't performed a musical since our sophomore year in Sideshow. So I was like bummed about that, but I was so super excited about doing this sketch show, and it was so fulfilling. Like because I got to be involved in every single aspect of it, like directing, writing. I had the most amazing, I didn't even call them really a cast. We were a team. I had this amazing team of writers and actors who were just there and like excited to be making something funny and silly and crazy. And it was called #Basic, a live sketch comedy night for millennials. So it was all about like kind of making fun of ourselves and exploring like the college culture. And it was and we had a great turnout for the show. Like there was just so much excitement about it. And then throughout our senior year, I mean, same thing always happened. Like I'd get to callbacks for something on campus and then not get it and be devastated. But I had like my comedy community outside of school that kind of kept me sane. And I met my boyfriend through Laughing Dex Theater, and he is a performer and he's the production manager at Washington Improv Theater. And I met all of his friends through it, and like this group of friends and this comedy community really like welcomed me with open arms. And now I work front of house at Wit, and I'm like there all the time seeing their shows, and I'm going back to the Tuesday night shows that I went to in college. And I don't perform there. I haven't taken classes yet because I can never find like 8 weeks that I can commit to taking class. But it's a community that I'm like so grateful to be a part of that really kept me, my senior year was hard. Like it was a hard time, and it really kept me like sane and fulfilled my senior year.
It became another area, another outlet.
Right.
Outside of, because you can't, I mean, the old saying is like, you can't put all your eggs in one basket, but particularly in this field, I mean like musical theater specifically, but then like the arts as a whole, like you never know what is going to happen. You can't predict it. Like,
right.
Had you asked me my freshman year of college, like if I could plot what the next 5 years were going to look like, I mean, some of it has gone according to plan, but on the whole, you kind of just have to go with the twists and turns, and then in the midst of all that is where you find something like the comedy scene.
Right.
And what I really liked is it was both when you were explaining about when you were in London and then back in Baltimore, is comedy provided you both an opportunity to like expand your artistic self, but it also taught you something about you and about where you were living and the city that you were in, and just kind of embracing that for the larger life of it. Yeah,
well, and like I think it's all about just like following what excites you, like in the different periods of your life, because again, like you're saying, I would have never predicted my senior year, I would have never predicted this past year that I just had, because I thought my senior year, I was like, I'm just gonna do comedy, I'm gonna write, and I'm gonna direct, and I'm not gonna perform anymore. And I don't want to perform anymore. Like I'm sick of putting myself in the audition room and being vulnerable in that way. And because when I was at Catholic, I felt like it was constantly, like we were constantly being hit in the face with like the audition room is kind of a toxic place to be almost, just because these are the people that you see every day, so you feel automatically scrutinized when you walk into the room.
You get pigeonholed too as a type, especially when there's 75 to 80 kids in the program. Like you do become a type, and that, I mean, that was something I dealt with too. Right. Like, you are just the dancer who can't really sing, and it was breaking past that. And it was being able to not only like prove, oh look what I can do, but it was also just the audition room. I love auditioning now. Right. Yeah. But at school it was really stressful because you felt like you had something to prove about a side of yourself that like didn't feel authentic. There's
no like healthy detachment when you're in school and auditioning for something. And so what was I? Oh, so like I would have never predicted this year, but this year came from me just following what was exciting to me with each coming week, basically. So like
and just saying yes to things that the prospect of them made you happy, and and this is the checkbox that I need to do right now, and like that kind of thing. Of
course, because like so the summer after I graduated, I started taking Pure Barre classes, and that was something that was fun for me, and I did like we used to have a first week free, so I did the first week free, and then I did the intro month. And so at the end of the intro month, I was like, I love this. Like this is something that I just kind of started doing impulsively, but it's really fun, and it feels like what I'm used to in the sense that it feels like a dance class, but it's also a really great workout, and I'm seeing changes not only in me like physically, which isn't exactly, I mean, of course, like you want to see changes when you're working out, that's like sort of the point, but like mentally, like I just was like, I love this. I love the community. I love having somewhere to go every day.
Yeah. And it's nice because it's removed from the field.
Right.
It's something completely outside of it that will always be there regardless of what's going on in your professional
Yeah.
life.
And so, and then my boyfriend was like, just go and take a voice lesson. Like, cause I didn't want to sing anymore. So he was like, just go take a voice lesson, please. Like, and so I did. And then I was like, wait, I really love this. And so I kept practicing singing and trying to get lessons over the summer. And then I auditioned for Creative Cauldron, in Falls Church, and wound up like getting called back for their fall musical, The Mistress Cycle, and then like I wound up making it through like all the callback. And I was really excited because I knew I wanted to work there, and I knew I wanted to work with Matt Connor, the director, who's really awesome guy, awesome, fantastic director. And so I like made it through callbacks, didn't hear anything for a couple of weeks, and it just so happened that like the callbacks lined up with me going to Italy for 2 weeks with my family, and so I was nervous about like hearing something from them when I was going to be away. So I emailed them and I was like, hi, what's going on? And I'd never done that before, but I like really wanted to be part of this production. So I emailed them and I was like, hi, just wanted to see like if you've made casting decisions. Like I'm just trying to plan out my fall basically, and I'm going to be away. Yeah. And then still didn't hear anything. And then I got to Florence with my family and got a text from a number I didn't know, and it was like, did you get my offer for the Mistress Cycle? And I was like, I'm in Italy. And so it turned out like the email went to spam. So it was all about like, I just kind of started finding the places and the people that I wanted to be with. And I like started to pursue that. And then
realizing you can take a little bit more initiative.
Yeah.
Than I think you learn to in school, just because it's a different kind of environment. But realizing like, and there is so much in this field that you can't control.
Right.
But if it is somewhere you're really interested in working, it's really putting your best foot forward can also mean you can be assertive.
Well,
like, I want to work with you guys. Here is me.
Yeah.
If you can use me, like, please, yeah.
Well, and it's also just remembering that like everyone that you're like auditioning for, everyone that you're working with or potentially like that you want to work with, they're all like human beings. Like we're all just out here trying to make a living in this field.
There is a universality in this field, regardless of if you're trying to be dancer, actor, choreographer, lighting designer. Like there are so many universalities of just being a human trying to make it work.
And no one's going to be mad at you for sending an email and being like, hi, what's going on? Like, haven't heard from you. And like, I mean, and like if you went to the open call and never heard anything back, like whatever. I mean, you could still email. No one's going to get mad at you for it. But like if you know that you have a shot at getting something and that potentially these people could want to work with you, like
you started developing the beginnings of a relationship.
Yeah, that's like half of what this business is making those relationships with people. And so, and also just following the projects that you want to work on. So that's kind of, because I thought I was going to just like really be just doing comedy. I thought I was going to be working in an office because like when I graduated, September after I graduated, like I had a salaried office job that I was doing, and it wound up that it wasn't really what I wanted to do. And that also felt like something I kind of had to pigeonhole into my life. Like anything that doesn't feel, I'm learning that anything that doesn't feel like it's natural or like that you have to like I listened to this podcast called A Balancing Act by Annalise Lemming, who is playing the principal in School of Rock on Broadway. And she always says like anything that feels grippy to you that you feel like you have to like hold onto for dear life, like maybe it's not meant to be part of your life. So
if it doesn't kind of fit organically
into
what you already have going, and I'm a big believer in that too. If something feels forced, if it feels off, if it doesn't just feel like a natural next step, or then it is a warning sign of like, hey, okay, let's look at this again.
Right, like and you're not going to feel peaceful or you're not going to feel excited about every single decision you make in your career ever, but like
it is work. There's still that component of it of like, yes, okay, this is a job.
Yeah, but you shouldn't feel like you have to like bend over every which way to fit something into your life. Like whether it's a relationship, a friendship, anything. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of this whole year has been just following what's exciting and saying yes to things, even feel like you don't really know much about them. Like I got that text in Florence and they were like, this is the gig, this is how much it pays, like will you do it? And like I didn't even have a contract in front of me. I was literally just texting and I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll do it. Like
I did that with Kara's job. They called me 2.5 weeks before rehearsal started and I said yes on the phone without like even considering like the logistics of it, because it was just like, it's just like, this is kind of the time to do it. Like now is, it's funny you say like saying yes to things, because my dad got me Shonda Rhimes' book for Christmas, The Year of Yes. Yeah. And it was just about it, when you start changing your mindset and kind of just going for the things that make you happy. Maybe they sound a little crazy and you don't have it perfectly planned, but that excitement is what, at least for me, like I want to keep at all times. Like I always want things on the horizon or things in my life where it's like you said yes to it and then it constantly fills you with that, okay, the future's going to be cool. Like I may not be able to like calendar pinpoint what's coming, but like things are...
Well, and like that's when I took my understudying gig at Imagination, I'd gone to the DC non-equity auditions and I'm pretty sure that they were there. And so, and I think I'd also submitted my materials to them, but like, it was really, I just got this email. It was like, hey, we need understudies. Would you like to send in a video? Basically. So immediately, I mean, I quit my office job the Friday before. Monday, I get this email. I was like,
I remember we talked about that too.
I was like, this is weird, but you know, whatever, like it fits into the timeline of what's going on. So I was like, yeah, I'll send in a video. So my boyfriend and I made this like ratchet tripod out of this like coat hanger. We taped his phone to like a coat hook.
So fun. Yeah. Everyone. There's so much that goes into this YouTube.
It was a time, but I sent in 2 videos of me doing sides. I sent in a video of me singing, and by I think an hour later I heard and they were like, we'd love to have you understudy. And so I was just kind of like, I don't really know. I mean, they sent me the schedule. Like they were very open and communicative about like what the schedule is going to be, like all that stuff. But I was like, I've never done something like this before, but okay, I'll do it. Like, and I, all of a sudden I was in rehearsal like 10 to 6 every day, which was new for me because I was used to rehearsing at night. And I was watching like professional actors who do 8 shows a week for a living, like doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, like I got a call, will you go on like for the last couple weeks of the run? And I was like, sure, again. And like, you just get thrown, you just kind of, you have to say yes to the opportunities as they come, because you don't always like know when the next one's going to be, and there's always going to be something else. Like, I think we all get so scared in this field of the unknown because that's like so much of like what we're living in.
Because you don't know if the unknown's going to be like 2 months till your next gig or like 2 years.
Right.
Like it is but being able to say yes to different opportunities as they present themselves, whether they're on stage or not. Yeah. You know, is I think it's an interesting note, and it's been 42 minutes.
Wow.
I know. So on that very saying yes to things note, if you could in the last year, if you could say like one thing to like your 18-year-old self starting school. I've been very sentimental lately about that. Like
I just like freaking relax. Like I was such a spaz going into Catholic. I mean, I was that typical like freshman MT who like thinks they're gonna play alphabet one day. Who knows? Maybe I could. I don't know. But like I think we all are that way when we start school.
You have one thing planned, and you're so dead set on that.
And like
you think you have it all figured out.
Yeah, and you're like I'm here, and this program's gonna be a vehicle for me to get to Broadway. Mm-hmm. Of course, Broadway's the dream. Like that's what we're all working towards, I guess. But like
you think you're gonna like play this role, and this role. You don't need to change. You don't need to learn anything.
You think you know your type. Like, and also just learning how to speak up. That's something I'm still learning now, but like learning how to, when something doesn't feel right, speaking up about it, because there are so many times when like maybe something at Catholic wasn't a good fit for me that I could have like changed or, and so so just like relax. And also, I mean, I feel like I'm always going to be like telling my past self to relax because I'm always stressed about something, and just to like have fun with it. And it's like, none of it's a big deal. Like, everything that we're doing in college, like it's so nuclear. It's so like on our little island of Catholic University, and it's so.
I think that's a way for a lot of theater programs and kids though, because it becomes the world, and it is the world. Like the industry is a very small place, but post-grad is such a different experience and a different, like, you shouldn't be prepared for it.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of the fun is kind of, you learn a lot about yourself when you navigate that first year out.
Yeah.
And it's like the tools of being able to say yes to things, like little things like that of just like.
You definitely should check out Julia on social media. Her handle will be in the title screen for this episode. She has some really, really cool projects coming up, and you should check them out. As always, thank you for your support. If you like what you're hearing, we love to hear that in the comments, and especially in the shares on social media, #SoStressedPodcast. This is Madalena D'Angelo signing off for this episode, and join us again in 2 weeks for our 3rd episode.
All right, here we go. Hello, my name is Madalena D'Angelo.